Good evening. I would like to call the Monday, June 10th, 2024 Blue Springs Planning Commission meeting to order. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please, Tracy.
Yes. Commissioner Ingersoll?
Here.
Commissioner Rohr? Commissioner Stokenberry?
Here.
Commissioner Smith? Commissioner Sanderson? Commissioner Corrado?
Present.
Commissioner Graham?
Present.
Commissioner Howe?
Here.
Chairperson Henning?
Here.
Perfect.
Thank you and welcome everyone this evening who's here and those watching from home. Tonight's agenda will consist of Item 1A, the minutes from the April 22nd Planning Commission meeting. Items 2, 4, 6, and 9, rezoning, conditional use permit, general development plan, and preliminary plat for Scenic Valley RV Resort. Items 3, 5, and 11 are for the rezoning, planned development concept plan, and preliminary plat for Southgate Villas. Item 7 is for the conditional use permit for Life Unlimited. Items 8 and 10 are for the PUD concept plan and preliminary plat for Brookside Estates at Chapman Farms. At this time, I would entertain a motion for the consent agenda for approval of the May 28th, 2024 meeting minutes.
Chair. So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This motion carries. At this time, I will open the public hearing for agenda items 2, 4, and 6. Rezoning, RZ 04249115. The General Development Plan, GDP 04249116. And Conditional Use Permit, CUP 04249117 for Scenic Valley RV Resort, with item number 9 being heard concurrently. At this time, I will ask for exhibits from our city attorney, John Millen.
Staff admits exhibits 1 through 9 under items 2, 4, and 6 as shown on the agenda.
Thank you, John. All those who wish to speak at tonight's public hearing, please stand as a group to be sworn in.
I do.
Thank you. At this time, I will ask for staff's presentation. Mr. Mike Mallon.
Thank you, Chair, members of Planning Commission. Mike Mallon, Senior Director of City Development for the City of Blue Springs, 903 West Main Street, and I have been sworn in. Before you this evening, our request for a rezoning, a conditional use permit, a general development plan, and a preliminary plat for the Scenic Valley RV Resort, located at property at 29607 West R.D. Mize Road. The specific proposal calls for a recreational vehicle park of 110 campsites to be located on the property, which will consist of 1 lot and 2 tracts of land. Property is currently zoned agricultural under the county's designation of the zoning. And so when the property was annexed, it maintained that county agricultural zoning. And so in order for it to be developed, the property must be rezoned to a city zoning category. The proposed rezoning is to the light industrial zoning district. The light industrial zoning district would allow for a recreational vehicle park as use defined in the Unified Development Code, only with approval of a conditional use permit. The subject property has never been formally platted, excuse me, and also due to the rezoning request, those 2 elements trigger the need for a general development plan. And finally, the request for the preliminary plat of the property. The surroundings, I'll get to the maps here real quick. So the property is currently vacant. It's a heavily wooded site. It is denoted by the black and white hashed line. It is a triangle-shaped property just north of the easternmost portion of the city's Adams Point Golf Course. To the east is the Adams Point Village subdivision, zoned single family. To the west is the city's golf course. To the immediate south is the city's golf course. And to the north is the Amazon distribution facility. The surrounding properties, again, the properties highlighted here by the black and white hatch drawing. The surrounding properties are to the north, zoned light industrial. To the east, zoned SF7 with a planned residential overlay. To the south, agricultural zoning. To the east, residential estate zoning. Zoom out here. This is the proposed general development plan for the recreational vehicle park. There is one access proposed into the area or into the site, which would be off of a extension of R.D. Mize Road, which would be the developer's responsibility to construct this road section here from Coronado at the curve right south of the Amazon facility. One point of access into the property, 110 campsites with, as I mentioned, 2 tracts of land on the far west side, Tract A and Tract B, one for detention, and the other is a tree buffer. Most of the campsites are situated in the middle of the property, and in the northeast corner, there are some amenities and a community building located in the center of the site right off of the primary access drive. The future road improvements would include these full road improvements for half the distance for R.D. Mize Road. A traffic study was looked at or was reviewed, whether the need for a traffic study was reviewed. And per the UDC, the anticipated traffic generated by this development does not warrant a traffic study because of the 110 campsites. The proposed building type for the light industrial zoning district is a little bit confusing for this property because of the different building types. There are no real building types proposed for a campsite. The only constructed building would be the community building, which was more of an accessory building. So staff reviewed the proposed development under the general industrial type building standards, which would have afforded the largest amount of setback for the campsites to be along the adjacent property lines. And so in order to help minimize the impacts of these campsites on surrounding properties, the staff did apply the general industrial building type, and so as well as the height requirements. And so staff did review those, and the proposed site plan does comply with all exterior setbacks. Parking for the development, the land use requires, the land use that is the RV or recreational vehicle park is the land use, requires 1 parking space per camping space. The development is providing 110 spaces for the campsites. The club, which is the community building, is providing 1 space per 4 persons. And it's the requirement in the development is providing 19 spaces. So a blow up here of the community building is kind of shown. Come on, stop doing that. Kind of in here, this is the main entrance drive off of R.D. Mize Road. It includes a 4,000 square foot office, game room, and shower house community building, a 20 by 40 covered patio, another 20 by 40 uncovered patio, a splash park, playground, and a dog park. So those are the amenities being provided. A 6-foot sidewalk between the community building and parking spaces has been provided. There are no proposed sidewalks throughout the resort. A public sidewalk will be provided along R.D. Mize Road, leading to the entrance from Coronado. The community building is classified as an accessory structure. However, it does provide four-sided architecture with a mix of materials, windows, and lighting. Final building design and site plan design would be done through the site plan design review process. Landscaping, And site design call for tree preservation area easements along the south and east property lines, which will protect the existing vegetation, and a 30-foot wide buffer, which provides a more private, mature screening to the adjacent land uses. Additional landscaping will be required with the site and reviewed at the time of the site plan design review. The developer and staff have looked at this to make sure that it does provide enough landscaping to help buffer the proposed development from adjacent land uses, in particular the golf course to the south and east, or to west, and to the existing neighborhood and Adams Point Village to the east. This is the proposed landscape plan showing trees provided throughout, and then again a tree buffer preservation along the southeast portion and along the east portion here, as well as along the west. This whole tract of land from up here is going to be preserved for trees. Preliminary plat calls for one tract of land and the two tracts, or one lot and two tracts. The proposed community building is a single story with a mix of stucco, stone veneer, and asphalt shingles. Architecture carries those materials around to all four sides to create a unified look. So those are renderings of the proposed community building. The preliminary plat does call for the one lot, which is approximately 12.86 acres, and tract A would be 3.75 acres, and then the proposed regional detention area would be about 1.87 acres. Staff reviewed these four applications against the criteria listed in the UDC, including that for the rezoning, the conditional use permit, the general development plan, and the preliminary plat. Though the request does not comply with the future land use designation on the city's comprehensive plan, which is for small scale multifamily, the potential for the land use to have does have a residential component to it, but also has a housing and lodging industry component to it, which may be supportive of the surrounding commercial shopping center of Adams Dairy Landing to the west on the opposite side of the golf course, and may provide a good transition and buffer of land uses between the golf course, the industrial property at Amazon, and to the residential property to the east. So even though the rezoning requests to light industrial and general development plan are not necessarily consistent with the comprehensive plan designation, the proposed development plans provide other or do meet other aspects of the comprehensive plan, such as providing services and to help support residential, walkable areas, compatible development, high quality landscaping, high quality building design, and to provide for all the different needs in the city for work, live, and play. The general development plan is consistent with all of the requirements of the Unified Development Code. The applicant has not requested any modifications to or deviations to the Unified Development Code. The general development plan complies with all applicable use, development, design standards set forth in the code. Staff believes that the general development plan is sensitive to existing land uses, especially with the buffers being provided, and would be compatible with existing adjacent land uses. Staff does not consider this to be a use that would have a negative impact on surrounding properties, given the amount of attention paid to the buffering and landscaping. Staff has had concerns, and those are reflected in staff's conditions on this, with the development being, as proposed by the applicant. The developer is proposing a high-end or luxury RV recreational vehicle park. Staff has concerns that the development over time could become long-term housing. of a transient nature rather than a recreational campground. And therefore, staff has expressed those concerns to the applicant. The applicant has provided some standards under which he would operate the park that may help to alleviate some of those concerns. I'll let the developer speak to those a little bit more. But in some other recreational vehicle parks within the surrounding area, most notably just to the east on Artie Mize Road in Grain Valley, some of those campgrounds take on more of a residential component with people living there for upwards of 6 months. And staff has significant concerns about that. And the quality of a luxury campground may be installed up front, but how does that get maintained over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years? And so I think the developer is prepared to speak to how he plans to address those. Staff reviewed the conditional use permit and finds that those criteria under the Unified Development Code are met. The general development plan criteria are met, and the preliminary plat or the requirements for a preliminary plat and lot sizes and setbacks are met as well. Therefore, staff does recommend approval of these 4 applications of the rezoning with 2 conditions, of the conditional use permit with 6 conditions, approval of the general development plan with 1 condition, and the preliminary plat with 6 conditions. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any commissioners have any questions for staff? Chair.
Mr. Mallon, did you receive any opposition letters for this project?
Yes, we did receive 2 that were included in the packet. An updated packet was sent out earlier today, and 2 of those emails were included in that packet.
Thank you.
Any other questions up here? Would the applicant like to speak on behalf of their project?
Chad Reisinger, 114 Southwest Eagles Parkway, Grain Valley, Missouri, 64029. I'd like to just take a moment just to introduce myself and the RV park and maybe take 5-7 minutes or something. So, my name is Chad Reisinger, and I was born and raised in Blue Springs. I went to Daniel Young Elementary, fighting Dolphins, and graduated from Blue Springs South. And started building single-family homes and residential properties in Grain Valley and multifamily properties in Grain Valley, as well as doing commercial remodeling with Fastenal and then eventually into residential or commercial real estate development. That is a picture of the self-storage facility I built in Grain Valley that I own and operate. I built that, self-performed a lot of the project on that, and so I general contracted the property and did a lot of work there. So by owning that self-storage facility, I got a lot of phone calls about RV parks or RV parking, and I had a lot of customers that were selling their house and storing their stuff in there and actually going out and RVing. So I started looking into it, and I found out that the industry is exploding, and it's been growing very rapidly, really since 2017, but especially since 2020. More Americans than ever are discovering RVing, and we're witnessing a fundamental change in how people travel. They're choosing RVs over air travel and prioritizing spending time in nature instead of a hotel. Even amidst the rising inflation and cost, it's still stayed really strong. The majority of RVers are baby boomers. They're retiring at a rate of 10,000 a month or 10,000 a day. And millennials are quickly catching up because they've got more freedom and flexibility with their work and time. One more. So what's that look like? Well, right now, I mean, the industry and in Missouri is about a $2 billion RV industry for the state of Missouri, but more focused just on this District 4 that we're in. I wanted to point out that there's $84 million in annual economic impact from RV campgrounds in just this District 4 that we're in now. And that what that means is that RV parks do significantly impact the local economy and tourism, generating revenue for the city, creating jobs and creating households and community development. However, there hasn't been an RV park built in this area in over 60 years in Jackson County, a privately owned RV park. So I'm proposing an upscale luxury RV park like nothing else in the area. We're proposing wide driveways, paved parking pads, paved patios, full hookups, and Wi-Fi, as well as an ADA accessible clubhouse, splash park, playground, covered patio, dog park, and the tornado shelter. All upgrades, all things that are lacking in many of the RV parks in this area and actually across the country. But we're wanting to put that together here. Briefly inside, a game room, vending machines for seating area and a party room for birthday parties, laundry facility, ADA accessible bathroom and showers, office and gift shop. I'd like to brag on the property a little bit. It's a gorgeous, absolutely stunning 18 acres, all wooded. There's a rock bluff along the west side that's gorgeous, and it's got some remnants of an old homestead there. There's actually a spring house that was built there. The spring's still flowing. There's the stone walls and stone pillars to that, and just creates a lot of character to the property, and something really neat to explore. That's how it sits, situated amongst the golf course there. Practically already looks like a park. We're just adding amenities. And the location specifically, I feel is great for the area. It's on a dead end road there, just a half mile from Adams Dairy Landing, and all the one of the premier shopping areas in Jackson County in the area, with of course the golf club right next door. And it's estimated by the National Association of RV Parks and Campgrounds, for every dollar spent by RV park visitors, an estimated $10 to $12 circulates through the local economy. Kansas City's doing a really good job of creating a tourist environment, and we want to capture those customers who are coming to Kansas City to take in a sporting event. We've got the big soccer game coming up, and just a lot of excitement. Plus, we're a major hub for hospital amenities and stuff like that too. So, in conclusion, I'm proposing to build a beautiful RV park far superior to anything around it, and going to personally manage it myself and hire an exceptional staff to create an amazing experience for customers, just like I did with the successful storage unit development. And the market's really good right now, and I think we're in the first couple of innings of this trend, and I'd like to get it completed in a year and be open for spring of 2026 for sure. Thank you. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you very much. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this project? Is there anyone in the audience here who would like to speak in opposition of this project? All right. Start over here, young man. Yep. Have you been sworn in?
Yes.
Come right up here and state your name and address, please.
So I'm David Williams. My address is 2512 Northeast Crestview Street, which is kind of in the middle of the Adams Point subdivision to the east. And so I guess my main opposition, there was a letter sent out that's kind of goes over a variety of points, but first of all, I would say that I love campgrounds. Chad, I've been in hundreds, I think, over the years. I'm a big camper, RVer. I love the idea of this, and it looks beautiful. I would say, though, having been in all those campgrounds and RV parks, the thing that I guess bothers me the most about this is noise and traffic. And so if you look at the map, I'm not sure if so it's unfortunate, and I've walked this area many times at the road. I don't get in on private property, but it's unfortunate that's the place that you put the clubhouse and some of the RV sites is the furthest east, and I guess at a minimum, it's like why. I know that there's advantages to that. I'm sure there are, but that happens to be right next to the subdivision, and so whether it's people having fun at night or the RVs coming in at 2 a.m. in the morning, the diesel, I've heard that. I've lived that experience, and having that so close to the subdivision, and I'm not even in the homes that border that there, just to the east. So it's a concern. It's again, I love the property too. It is gorgeous property, and but it seems like the buffer zone is it should be flipped. The buffer zone should be up to that eastern kind of square rectangle, not tract A or whatever there. So that's it.
Thank you. Who's next? Over here? Come on down.
Come on down. Last place I want to be.
Name and address,
Okay.
please, sir.
James Brown, address 2513, Northeast Amanda Lane, Blue Springs, Missouri. And since he said it, I'm going to say it. I moved east in Jackson County, built my first home in 1977 up in Farview, Susquehanna. The kids went to Fort Osage. We moved to Blue Springs in 85. Since then, this is our third home in Blue Springs. And that little road that he's putting this on, I remember when it went all the way through, because I had to take my daughter to their little clubhouse down there by the Brass Armadillo, where they partied every Friday and Saturday. Okay, so I'm very familiar with that particular area. And I understand what he's saying, but less than a mile down the road is the other RV. And we already got RVs running up and down the road, so this 110 is just an additional group to go with it. Also, there's a park across from the other RV, and they just put the Grain Valley Police Station a block from it. Okay, if there's a problem there, our police station's way over yonder somewhere. And what nobody's talked about is next to Amazon, they finishing a senior citizen building. Okay? Them people don't want to hear that noise. They're already going to have RVs running down the road. I know. Because my property backs up to RD minus. Okay? And who's going to compensate me for the value that I'm going to lose in my property? Because there will be a loss. You got an RV park next to you and one less than a mile down the road. Okay? And I like his idea. He wants to do what he wants to do, but dealing with the modern situation, and I don't know. I have 2 gas burners. And when you're going down the road, pulling one of those, you need a gas burner. Everybody's talking about tripping over at the batteries. I don't know if they are or aren't. But I know one thing is going to make it awful difficult, especially if you're only going 100, 200 miles pulling a trailer. So I'm looking at future potential problems also. And we know that, yeah, they stayed longer than a couple of weeks down at the other one. It's going to probably be the same way, so I'm looking out for what it's going to do to my property. And I say, please put it somewhere else, And like you were saying, you have Amazon up there. You got the old people's right there. And that's a dead end stretch because the golf course cut or demise, So, no, I have to be against it. I don't like losing value. Okay?
Thank you for your comments. We've heard you. Come on up, sir. Name and address, please.
Sorry, I'm Dave Schwartz, live at 2512 Northeast Amanda Lane in Adams Point Village. I'm not well spoken on this, and I believe he has good intentions, but I am opposed to it. One, I understand that it may look really good the first couple years, but you guys have all seen, and so have we, the RV parks over 10, 15 years, none of them are ever well kept. Secondly, I'm sure a lot of you are, and so am I. I'm an avid golfer in Adams Point. For my friends that live across the city, think a lot of Adams Point. I don't see many RV parks next to what's considered nicer golf courses in town. And right now, Adams Point is considered one of those. The other thing I would say is I've seen kind of his preliminary rules for extensions, and his extensions allow for 12 to 28-day extensions. That's a full year you can live there, except after 6 months, you have to move over a lot. So it pretty much is a permanent residency for at least a year. So as far as, I agree with James. It does not help my resale value of my home. I mean, my wife's not going to let me move, but I'm just saying if that were ever a case. So there's a multitude of reasons. And I don't want an RV park next to my subdivision and my family, our friends and their kids. So that was it.
Thank you. We heard you. Anybody else in the audience like to speak in opposition? Come on up. Name and address. Have you been sworn in, sir?
Yes. Okay. Yes. Chris McGinley, 2500 Northeast Wheatley Drive, same subdivision. Couple of things I wanted to point out. First, looking at the site plan, I understand that there's rules and regulations regarding the JTC and the traffic study. I just encourage that to be reconsidered with the additional traffic along Coronado there with Amazon. I mean, if you time that wrong, it takes quite a bit of time just to go from the Amazon facility down the hill and up. Now that you mix in with campers and other things, I encourage you to reconsider the traffic study. And then just looking at the site plan, I'm the same way. I've camped all my life, been to different campsites and everything. First thing I see is when you first pull in, there's only 2 spots to actually check in. So you can put 2 rigs. When you first pull in, you're going to put another rig out on Artie Mize, and you're going to end up having rigs going up and down Coronado as they check in. Also, the check-in times looks like the office hours are from 6 to 9, or from 9 to 6. When we used to go camping, we would show up to campsite about 4 or 5 o'clock, and there'd be 4 or 5 campers checking in at the same time, and those campers have to go somewhere. And then just overall, looking at the site, I mean, there's only one trash enclosure for 110 sites. You can go look at Worlds of Fun or other places around that have big campsites like this, and they're just significantly more amenities that will accommodate the actual areas. And then just the overall, the buffering, there's utility poles out the front, so they can't necessarily shield Coronado from your north-south there, because you can't put trees and things below utility lines. So you're definitely going to be able to see it from the Coronado. And then there's virtually no buffering. You see where Greenview Drive is stubbed out, heading in that direction right off of Amanda Lane, and that just kind of just stops right there. Well, I mean, that was prime real estate for housing. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Thomas Lewis, 1506 Whispering Ridge, but that's Key Hill. I represent Sallee Development, who is the owner of Adams Point Village Development, and I have multiple lots that are not sold yet. And so my main concern is a slowdown in the sale of those lots with the approval of this rezoning for an RV park. I also represent the HOA in Adams Point Village, and I've received calls and emails about opposition to this as well. Mostly traffic. You've heard most of them, or a few of them, talk about their concerns. One of my main concerns is people missing that turn in an RV and then trying to turn around in our neighborhood. Jumping my curves, running my islands, making it more expensive for the HOA. And then security as well. You have people that may be temporary staying there. You saw a bunch of kids in the pictures. And I do like RV parks, don't get me wrong. I built 4 of them in Texas, but I never built one next to a neighborhood. But so there's just security concerns, there's traffic concerns, there's property value concerns from multiple people within that neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Come on. What's your name and address, ma'am?
Kathy Robinson, 2501 Northeast Wheatley Drive. All my neighbors here, and I, like most people, enjoy camping, camped all our lives with kids, grandkids, but I don't really want it in my neighborhood. We worry about our property value as well. The transient issue with people coming and going. We have so many kids that right now we feel pretty free to let them ride their bikes, walk, go through the woods, do some fishing, that sort of thing. And it would be a lot more concerning with so much more traffic coming and going, checking out the neighborhoods. The entry that we've talked about, right around that curve, there's been so many Amazon trucks, UPS, that sort of thing. They miss, I don't know if they're redirected or misdirected by their Google or what, that they don't stop where they're intended. They do try to turn around in our neighborhood. There has been damage to the properties there. There's just multiple concerns. So the biggest one is long-term and what it's going to do to our property value and safety. So that's about it.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak in opposition to this project?
Mr. Fire Marshal, there's only one entrance.
You can state it as a question and we'll see if the applicant, I'm going to give them a chance to address a few of these things. Anybody else like to speak in opposition? Hearing that, would the applicant like to address any of those before I close the public comment section of this public hearing?
So I definitely appreciate the feedback from the community. We did have a meeting prior to this meeting, and we did discuss a lot of things that they had concerns about. So I appreciate them coming down here and bringing that to your attention too as well. And it is a concern of mine if it's a concern of theirs. So with regards to the buffering between the subdivision and us, there is a significant buffer there. The 4 acres on this east side, there is not only the 40-foot easement preservation area, but also there is on the landscaping plan, there is another cloud there. That cloud there, that preservation area there, creates even more space, almost a little bit over 100 feet additional coverage there. And what that does is that creates a space that I can't touch as a developer. I can't come in and cut down those trees or do anything to that. So that's why the language there is important, is that we create that tree preservation area so that we can't touch that there. It was brought up that there's a lot of, the concern was late night noise from diesel trucks. I would just have to say that this property is right along I-70. And if we could go to slide 49. Under yours. Yeah. Yes, slide 49. So this is a decibel reading that I took a couple of months ago. In the afternoon, I think on a Wednesday around 11:38. So, a normal speaking voice is about 60 decibels. And I took this video for about 3 minutes right in front of my property there. And you can see an average of 93 decibels, a maximum of 106 decibels. And that's pretty much a constant. That's a constant noise there. That's the highway. That's the highway noise that's there constantly already. So with regards to pulling in, I don't think that there's going to be a big noise concern from my standpoint. As far I can appreciate that they don't want to hear diesel trucks pulling in and out, but we've already got a lot of diesel activity in that area, especially with late night deliveries too for all of the Adams Dairy Landing. I don't anticipate us contributing to that at all. There was concern about the police. If we could go to slide 48. This is all the police reports for Grain Valley and the Jackson County Sheriffs over the last several years. You can see that there's one or two calls there from Grain Valley and just one call to the Jackson County Sheriffs in the last year and a half. So I did want to look into that. I wanted to make sure that I understand that really well and that I'm not doing anything that would endanger the environment, the neighborhood next to me. And for my own personal reasons, I wanted to know what was going on there. So I think that's all in all a pretty positive outcome there. But property values, let me skip that one for a minute. Long-term property upkeep on the concern with that, I get that maybe 5 to 10 years out, this doesn't look like it should, but I can tell you that the upscale RV park is a product category within RV parks that is becoming very, very popular. It's something new. And what I'm doing is I'm building this to an institutional scale in a smaller market area, but I am building it to an institutional scale. I'm building this to the scale that a private equity firm or a institutional buyer would look at this and say, this has longevity to it. This is built out of concrete driveways, concrete patios, concrete, stormwater detention, engineering, and all of that. So for the long term, this is being built for a long term. And even if I were to sell someday, which I do not plan to, but that's not worth the paper it's written on, I understand. But I do plan to build this business and keep it for a long time. But it's that institutional buyer that I am catering to at the end as an end buyer that would be a professional manager of it, that would keep a professional management team in place and continue to drive value on the property. From a property value standpoint, from near having an RV park near neighborhoods, I've just got a couple. I've just probably just share one that's near here. I believe it is slide 50. That's a newer subdivision that just went in next to a KOA there in Springfield, Missouri. Those property values are in the $300,000 to $400,000 range. It's on a golf course there, and that's like I said, that's a newer subdivision that just went in. So there are golf courses, there are RV parks near golf courses all over the country. Let's just go to slide.
Where's that located?
That's in Springfield, Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah. 51. This is another RV park in Colorado. It's near a golf course. It's not right on the golf course, but it's also got $700,000 homes up to $3.6 million homes adjacent to the development and just outside of the Breckenridge area, but nice affluent properties right next to that RV park there. So hopefully with regard to the extended stay, I'd like to read that just to kind of put it into context. Is the extended stay campers must meet with the management team prior to any reservation. Campers and motor coaches must be in tip-top quality and appearance. We are a recreational facility, not a residential community. If accepted, such extended stays are based on a 28-day contract and are contingent on how well the camper respects our efforts to make a park-like environment. An extended stay guest is eligible for 12 extensions and has to move to a different location on the property after the 6th extension. The extended stay is a small portion of maybe 20% of our business model for the property, but it is extended to certain customers, to a select few of customers that mainly have like a contract to work here, like a traveling nurse has a 6-month contract, and they tend to travel with and stay in RV parks. We have seasonal workers, but mostly, like, I could think of another example with customers who have a builder said they are going to take 6 months to build their home, and it usually takes a little bit longer. So they would stay in their RV at that time and stay with, and we would allow that, but it would be a rigorous inspection of the RV. It wouldn't. I hesitate to say it can't be older than 10 years, but that's our general policy, that it can't be older than 10 years old. But there's some Airstream stuff that's out there they're worth more than the brand new ones. But no, that's a strict policy and a very small percentage of our business plan for the property. But yeah, I hope that can clear some things up too.
Thank you. At this time, the public comment section of the public hearing is over.
Excuse me, Chair. Because the commission addressed him while he's still at the podium. Did he come back and can we ask him a few questions?
Yes. I just closed the section for the public.
Okay.
Because everybody has spoken opposition in favor of. Any further discussion or comments from the staff regarding what you've heard thus far?
No. If there were any specific questions that the council or the commission had for either specifically for staff or for the applicant, we'd be happy to answer them. In terms of the overall general theme of some of the complaints or voiced objections from the residents, I don't really see that there's a lot that staff would be able to comment on. So any questions that perhaps the Planning Commission did not get an answer from that they may still have, I would suggest maybe asking the applicant directly.
Thank you, Mike. I'll bring it up here to us commissioners. Any questions that you have amongst each others or for the applicant?
Certainly. Chair?
Yes.
I'd like to address the applicant, if you could ask him to come back to the podium. I have several questions for you. In terms of what you spoke about, having exceptions with the 12 extensions, would there be any situations where you would consider that anyone could stay longer than the 12 extensions?
No, sir.
Okay, my other question is this your first RV park?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And my next question is, what would the community center or community building be primarily used for? Who would have access to that, and what would be the cost for that?
So the community center would be for the campers on site and would be free to use. Except, we have a laundry facility on site that would be a credit card. You'd pay with a credit card for the laundry facility to use, and as well as the vending machines, we would do a credit card as well on those. But everything else you can use, and I believe the video games and stuff will have a cost to them. We'll have a third party company take care of those, and we split the money, so they would make a profit on that, and we would provide them a place to put them. But as far as coming and going from there, using the facility to hang out when it's raining or hang out when it's hot outside or whatever, they can come and go from there and use the bathrooms and stuff.
Thank you.
You bet.
Chair,
Yes.
I have a quick question for you. Somebody made a comment about missing your entrance, and then, with their RV. What is your plan for some signage out front?
Right. I think if that is an issue already with trucks turning around in there, I think that we should have a policy in place where we notify people that they may not turn around there. And if signage is necessary or prudent, we should put it out in front of our property or maybe even in front of their property. I don't think that we would be the only issue if they're already having that issue. Maybe they could do some signage there and prevent that. I think a lot of businesses do that. They tell people you can't turn around here in your tractor trailers. So I would hope we could do that or come together on something like that for sure, because I definitely don't want that for them at all. I've been in their subdivision, and it would take a special kind of person to try that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Thank you.
there's two entrances in that place. So if you're trying to go in and then immediately turn around their island, that's a ridiculous proposition. I think you could come in there and go down and turn out and not damage anything, but we don't want that. I mean, that's a residential neighborhood, so that's not a solution, but it definitely would save some property damage.
Thank you.
Any other questions up here? Question for staff. Being that this is a different type of development that there's no specific standard for, you had to resort to some commercial guidelines you mentioned in your presentation. How is it that the city is left to govern this project 3 to 5, 7 years down the road? Should it move from upscale to low scale?
The city would only be able to, we're only able to enforce rules that we have within our codes, in our Unified Development Code, within our city codes for nuisance violation, noise violation, other things like that. We really don't have a lot of standards for campgrounds, whether they would be luxury or more budget friendly campgrounds. And so any kind of code that we would be able to enforce would be any provisions of a general development plan or a conditional use permit or conditions that the planning commission or city council were to put on the project. Staff could regulate those or enforce those. Staff would also have the standard nuisance sections of our code in terms of trash, high weeds and grass, noise, things of that nature that we enforce on other most every other property in and around the area. So for all intents and purposes, staff would treat this in many ways as a like an apartment complex or multifamily development. And we would cite the underlying property owner for failure to keep the site up to the codes that we could enforce. So that would essentially be our ability to enforce those rules and regulations.
Thank you. Chair, I have a question for staff. I may. Mr. Mallon, I think one of the opposing speakers brought up the valid concern about the traffic study. Is there any way that we could recommend that? And my second question for you is, how would the city monitor the extensions that would be granted for this particular area? Would we be able to monitor it any kind of way? How would we know if it went over or if it didn't?
Staff really wouldn't have a way to do that because we wouldn't be involved in the everyday management of it. So that would be upon, that would be essentially like a private covenant within an HOA for a single family neighborhood. Staff does not get involved in those private covenants. And so if this private business had restrictions on how long somebody could stay or other things, then we really wouldn't be able to enforce that. As far as the
we wouldn't know one way or the other whether somebody stayed there a year or 2 years or however long.
That's correct. As far as the traffic study, Jim, if you wanted to add more to this, please feel free to jump in. But a traffic memo that was prepared by a professional engineer, traffic engineer registered in the state of Missouri, states that the anticipated traffic generated by this development does not warrant a full traffic impact study. So a memo was provided that discussed the impacts on this, and I believe that those were not significant enough to warrant a further traffic impact study.
Yes, that's correct. Based off of this type of use of the campground, their study revealed during AM peak 21 vehicles, PM peak 30 vehicles. Typically, we don't look at a full impact study until it reaches 50 vehicles for those timeframes. However, this is a little different. So, I don't know how else to determine whether we need more or not as far as stacking and those types of items.
The commission could certainly put a condition of approval onto this that a full traffic study be required. But I'm not sure if that would be supported by the code. But, if traffic is a concern, perhaps the developer may want to further investigate that by the time he looks at moving, should this get approved by the city council and the general development plan which is intended to show a general site layout, conceptual layout of the property, and the conditional use permit to approve the use in terms of its compatibility with surrounding properties. And the preliminary plat is really just looking at how that would be platted and the tracks and the buildable areas and potential easements. The site plan design review phase, which would follow should those get approved, could take a more detailed look at traffic impacts, whether a entrance needs to be shifted a little bit one way or the other. It would also look at site lighting, fuller, more detailed landscape plans, things of that nature. So that could be a condition of approval if the commission so choose to make that. But at this point, with the rezoning request, general development plan, conditional use permit, it really is looking at whether, at a conceptual level, does this use, is it appropriate on the site? Is the zoning of light industrial appropriate for the property? And with regards to the conditional use, is it compatible with surrounding land uses?
Thank you. Yeah, one final time. I think we're about wrapped up.
I just I wanted to reiterate the importance of the special use permit. That is the guiding. That is the step above just the general, any old provisions in the code for all of our all the things that we need to adhere to. It's that next level. It's that special use permit, and I think that's a really important key to this. Is that if we put it in that special use permit, then not only do we need to adhere to that, and I think we should put a provision in there that says, hey, we use software to keep track of all of our people coming and going and how long they stay. And I think that it should absolutely, if it could be in that special use permit, that the city would be able to be privy to that information at any time. And I think the special use permit also, it transfers to any owner after that as well. So everything that we put in our special use permit and agree to, then that's also going to transfer to the next owner too. So I think that's just a really important piece to this.
Thank you.
I would like to point out that some of the staff recommendations that I believe I should have done earlier. So staff recommends approval of the rezoning, recommends approval of the conditional use permit. And some of those conditions are that the conditional use permit shall only be good for a period of 5 years, at which time a new application may be submitted for an indefinite or then again another specified time period to gauge how well this is working. No camper shall be allowed to stay more than 30 consecutive days. This was one of ours before we knew about the 28 days. At the resort, when requested by the city, the resort ownership management shall provide adequate information to confirm the name and address of the occupant, date and arrival, departure, the recreational vehicle model, make, year, serial number, and the license number of the unit. There shall be no outside storage of personal items, including underneath the recreational vehicle, unless properly screened with skirting. So there should be no sheds or other more permanent structures that you see in a true mobile home or manufactured home community. There shall be no accessory buildings or structures at the campsites, and there shall be no more than one additional vehicle at a campsite beside the recreational vehicle, and shall be able to operate and owned by the individual register within the park. So those were some of the staff conditions that we put on it, knowing that it's hard to gauge. One of our biggest concerns, as I've stated, is should this be developed as a luxury RV park at the beginning, and 5 years down the road, is it continuing to be kept up or not? And then with this condition in place, the applicant would have to come back and get a new conditional use permit. And then at that time, it could be, if it's going well, or not, depending on how it is, planning commission and ultimately city council could revoke that conditional use permit or extend it for another definite period of time to give it another 5 years or 10 years, or approve it indefinitely. But staff thought that was a good condition to put in to help essentially with this test case. Yeah. To see how it's going 5 years from now and then revisit it again. But since this is the first one that staff has also reviewed, the city has reviewed, we were trying to get comfortable with the idea to be able to support it. And some of these were the items that we included.
Well, that in essence also takes care of one of my concerns was how do we govern to a certain degree if it starts as upscale and goes low scale, then they know that they have that 5 year. So thanks for going over those. Any other discussion from the commissioners? At this time, I'll close the public hearing. And I'll ask for a motion up here for the rezoning. Anybody want to make a motion on the rezoning?
Chair,
Yes.
I would move to recommend approval of rezoning RZ 04-24-9-115 for Scenic Valley RV Resort with the 2 staff conditions.
Do I have a second?
Second.
This will be a roll call. Tracy?
Commissioner Stokenberry,
Aye.
Commissioner Cradoff,
I'm going to have to say nay on this one because it sounds like the logistics needs to still be worked out on this. And I really can't gauge how much experience over this matter the applicant has despite the research he's done. So I'm going to have to say nay.
Okay. Commissioner Graham,
Aye.
Commissioner Howe,
Nay.
Commissioner Ingersoll,
Aye.
Chairperson Henning.
Aye.
Aye.
This motion carried with 2 staff conditions. This item will be recommended and heard by the City Council at their meeting on June 17th here in the same room at 6 p.m. This time I'll ask for a motion on the general development plan.
Chair,
Yes, sir.
move to recommend approval for the General Development Plan GDP 04-24-9116 for Scenic Valley RV Resort with the one staff condition.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, and this will be another roll call. Please.
Commissioner Cradoff,
Nay.
Commissioner Graham,
Aye.
Commissioner Howe,
Nay.
Commissioner Ingersoll,
Aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry,
Aye.
Chairperson Cradoff.
Henning.
I'm sorry. So sorry.
Aye.
Chairperson Henning. Force of habit.
And that passed with 1 staff condition. And at this time, I would also ask for a motion for the conditional use permit.
Chair,
Sir.
recommend approval for the conditional use permit CUP-04-24-9117 for Scenic Valley RV Resort with the 6 staff conditions.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right. And roll call, Tracy, please.
All right. Commissioner Howe,
Nay.
Commissioner Graham,
Aye.
Commissioner Cradoff,
Nay.
Commissioner Stokenberry,
Aye.
Commissioner Ingersoll,
Aye.
Chairperson Henning.
Aye. And this passes with 6 staff conditions. And finally, I will move forward and ask for a motion on the preliminary plat.
Chair, might as well finish them. Move for approval of the preliminary plat PP-04-24-9118 for Scenic Valley RV Resort with the 6 staff conditions.
Thank you for the motion. Do I have a second?
Second it.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
2 opposed. And this is passed with 6 staff conditions. All right. So I'll wrap that up. I will open the public hearing for agenda item 3 and 5, the rezoning RZ04249135 and plan development concept plan PDC 04249136 for Southgate Villas, with item number 11 being heard concurrently. This time, I'll ask for exhibits from our city attorney, John Mullane.
Staff admits exhibits 1 through 8 as shown under item numbers 3 and 5 on the agenda.
Thank you. All right. At this time, I'll ask for the staff presentation from Mike.
We do need to be sworn in.
Oh, yes. All those who are going to speak in favor of or opposition or hear about this project, please stand to be sworn in.
I do.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
For you this evening, so Mike Mallon, 903 West Main Street on behalf of the city, and I have been sworn in. Before you this evening is request for a rezoning, a PD concept plan, and a preliminary plat for the Southgate Villas project, which is a proposed independent senior housing development that consists of 14 duplex buildings for a total of 28 residential dwelling units on approximately 4.68 acres, located at 700 Southwest Southgate Drive. The property is currently vacant. It's surrounded by the black and white hatch line here. 7 Highway runs north and south to the east. Southgate Drive runs east to west right here. The Eagles Ridge neighborhood is over here to the east. This road here will line up with the future extension of Hudson Drive, which is the Hudson Estates projects that was before you a few weeks ago. The surrounding zonings of the property is zoned residential estate, and has likely been that since it was annexed. So the property was annexed back in the 90s, and subsequently zoned, as was a lot of the property down here on the south part of town. And then a lot of it was zoned for residential estate or larger residential purposes or agricultural until it was affirmatively rezoned, as has happened around here. So this site, due to its kind of odd shape and configuration, has been left undeveloped. The surrounding property to the west, south, and east is all predominantly single family. Across the street to the northeast is commercial and multifamily, and to the north is more residential estate, with a church developed up here. Zoom out here. So the proposed project again consists of 14 duplex buildings or 28 residential units off of a single drive, cul-de-sac. There's a detention tract here. Again, the proposed project would be platted as 14 lots and 2 tracts. So each duplex building would be on its own lot. The rezone or the first request is to rezone the property from residential estate to planned development residential or PDR. The comprehensive plan designates the property as neighborhoods, and the S1 sub-area plan of the comprehensive plan designates the property as mixed density neighborhood, which is defined as neighborhood areas for residential living arranged in a pattern with access to supporting uses. Net density for these areas is typically 5 to 12 dwelling units an acre. So with a planned development zoning is a planned development concept plan. The PD concept plan allows or acts as a general development plan, but for a PD zone. The applicant has proposed a few modifications through the PD concept plan, which I'll address here shortly. All building type or all of the proposed houses or duplexes would follow the duplex standard lot building type, which include the setbacks as identified on the plan that are also in the Unified Development Code, if I could get the computer to not be too smart for me. So the minimum floor area would be 1,330 square feet per side or 2,660 per building. The front setbacks and the corner side setbacks are 25 feet. The minimum required side setback is 8 feet and the rear is 20, and they're providing or meeting or exceeding all of those. The applicant is requesting modifications to the PD, specifically to request an increase in the garage facade coverage from 25% up to 39%. As we saw with the previous development earlier this year, duplex buildings are required to follow the multifamily or the residential design standards. One of those being that of the front elevation garage doors should cover no more than 25% of the front facade. In this case, it is a request to increase that up to 39%. Also, the minimum lot size for 2 of the lots 12 and lot 13, which are here underneath the detention tract, are requested to decrease the minimum lot size from 9,000 square feet to 8,134 square feet. And this is due to the odd shape of the property and the odd configuration of the right of way as it comes in off of 7 Highway. The property line runs parallel to the road of 7 Highway, but then takes a pretty significant dive inward. And so the applicant is requesting to reduce those lot standards for those two duplex buildings only. So, and then also for those 2 buildings, across the board, they are requesting to decrease the minimum lot frontage, which is typically 80 feet, down to 77 feet in order to help fit all of these units on there. And I think the developer can provide more background as to why that is necessary. To help offset those modifications, the developers provided the following enhancements. Garage doors shall be stepped back a minimum of 7 feet from the front building line, which I'll show you here when I get to the building elevations. Front doors will be enhanced with, will have enhanced entry features, including glass, trellises, and decorative lighting. And also enhanced garage door design will be provided with added details, including windows, lighting, trellises, to help mitigate the additional facade coverage. So the development does include a public street, which is Cherry Lane, which will end in a cul-de-sac. There will be sidewalks on one side of the cul-de-sac, and sidewalks will be added to the south side of Southwest Southgate Drive, and the west side of 7 Highway. The applicant has provided a conceptual landscape plan. I can get to that here. To show the landscape treatment, especially along the perimeter and the buffers. So in this case, 7 Highway would be on the top of the screen, running north to south. And this is Southwest Southgate Drive here. So the applicant is proposing a pretty substantial landscape buffer along the west property line, adjacent to the existing neighborhood, along the south property line, and along the east property line, adjacent to 7 Highway. The units provide 1,330 square feet of livable space and come with a 1-car attached garage and 1 driveway space. Each building facade does provide 4-sided architecture with a mix of materials, including stone and masonry, stucco, vinyl siding, and vinyl shake siding, vinyl lap and shake siding in a mix of colors. So these are the proposed building elevations, including the decorative door treatments, decorative garage door treatments. As you can see, the front garage doors are set back from the front entrance of the duplexes in order to help offset the visual impact of that additional lot or garage door percentage. So this is one of the elevations here. This is another elevation. As you can see, the side elevations do continue the masonry materials and siding around to the sides to help, and to the rear to help bring that 4-sided architecture to make all 4 sides of the building have high quality design. So those are the proposed building elevations. Parking requirements have been met by the 2 off-street parking spaces per dwelling, one of which is within a garage. The proposed architecture is stone veneer, and I haven't mentioned that, sorry. So staff reviewed the rezoning request, the plan development concept plan, and the preliminary plat against the criteria listed in the code and as outlined in the staff report. Staff finds that the rezoning of this is appropriate, that the existing residential estate zoning is not an appropriate zoning district for that property because of the development that has occurred around it. I don't believe that residential estate, which requires a minimum of 1 acre, would be the best use of that land there. And so this proposed duplex development will provide a good buffer from 7 Highway to the existing single-family homes to the west. It is in conformance with the comprehensive plan. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the rezoning. Staff believes that the requested PD is appropriate as well, that the modifications to the standard UDC requirements are there are only a few requested deviations and that they are appropriate given the odd shape of the property, that it's not a true rectangle, and that the developer is trying to provide quality residential units, and the proposed land use of independent senior housing is something that our housing mix has told us we need. It is a relatively new land use category we haven't had in the city only for a couple of years, and it has only been utilized a few times. And so because of that, these will be zoned only for senior residential units. These are not a typical apartment that is marketed towards senior, but it is a independent senior living, which means by zoning, it has to be for senior living. And so staff believes that the requested modifications are offset by the enhancements to the building architecture, which are high quality four-sided design with enhanced entry feature, and it provides a needed housing product in our community. And the layout of the proposed preliminary plat and the cul-de-sac and the way that the detention and sidewalks are laid out and the improvements contained therein are appropriate. And so therefore staff recommends approval. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for staff and the commissioners before we hear from the applicant? Would the applicant like to come up and speak about their project? Were you here earlier and got sworn in?
Yes.
Please state your
Yes.
name and address.
Harvey Sommers, 29711 East Harris Potts Road, Green Valley, Missouri. And the only thing I would add is the units are meant for handicap accessible. All doorways are 34 inches wide. All doorway or door handles are lever action. All faucets are lever action. So we are trying to cater to the older community.
Fantastic. Is that all you have?
That's really, I think Mike pretty well summed it up.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody here in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this project? Anybody in the audience who would like to speak in opposition to this project? Come on up.
I just had a question. Where's the entrance to this?
You got to come up and speak.
Where's it coming up?
Come up, Southgate.
Oh, Southgate.
Thank you. Name and address, and have you been sworn in?
I have not actually.
Okay.
I just. I will.
Name and address, please.
Ronald Paul, 4412 Southwest 8th Street Terrace, Blue Springs, Missouri, 64015.
Welcome.
Oh, I'm opposed to it because my lot is my home is right there, and you'll take down and that whole section is all trees. It'll ruin the whole tree line, the whole, I guess, aura of that neighborhood. There is I believe an animal reserve, probably less than a mile to the west. Animals go through that area all the time. Deer, coyotes, things like that. I mean, there is a physical waterway that right at the corner of 7 Highway and Southgate that, I mean, there's a stream that runs through there. And then there's a conduit, and then there's a right of way that the huge conduit runs along the fence line. What are they going to do with that? I mean, it's that whole section of area right here, for the upper right-hand corner where that tree line is. You see that open green area? That's open green. That's open pasture field. But where that tree line is at the very north end of it, that's a street.
We need you back over here by the microphone. Thank you.
But, I mean, it's not like that you can fish in the stream or anything like that. But and it's technically, I believe, a runoff from the highway. was the intent of it. But they've come in and put, when I just moved here a few years ago, right before I moved in, the city came in and put a whole new drainage system through there. Are you guys just kick out all your whole drainage system? I mean, the way they have that physically set up, you have to completely, what are you going to do with the water? The water's going to run through there. It's already been running through. How does their site plan account for the hydrology that runs through there? Is my backyard going to end up full of water every time their streets run off and fill up? Every street along that whole western side will be full of water. So, and then what is it? Y'all just, the state or the city or the county basically just raised my property taxes 30%. Are they going to go up another 30%? So, those are but those are things that I don't think they're not brought out in that plan or anything like that. Is what do you do about all that stuff? What are they going to do about all that stuff? And then you basically, for all the neighbors on that whole west side of that, you basically destroy the whole aura of the whole neighborhood by taking out the tree line. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We heard you. And if you would like to speak, sir, you'll need to stand up and get sworn in. And welcome to Here You Go.
I need up there.
Thank you. Sworn in.
All right. Yes. Have you been sworn in, sir?
No.
Okay. Let's get that done.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Fantastic. Name and address, please, and then we want to hear what you have to say.
My name is Mike Pappas. I live on 808 South Brentwood Street. And to me, it seems like there's plenty of other areas and properties up and down that area that they could do. Here we have a nice wooded lot, behind us. And he's right. The deer come through there. We got, rabbits and squirrels. Oh, we got everything going. And then if you drive down 7, there's plenty of areas where there's open, land or farmland and whatever else is out there. I think it's a bad choice of property that they're looking to eliminate. So, and that's just what I have to say.
Thank you. We heard you. Anyone else in the House that would like to speak in opposition to this project? Seeing none, I will close the public comment section of this public hearing, and I'll bring it back up here. Any further discussion from the staff or comments from the staff?
Chair, I have
Hang on. I'll get to you. I'm sorry. Staff.
We do not have any other presentation. I'm happy to answer any further questions. In terms of the comments made by the residents, we changed dramatically there. The proposed development would provide a storm sewer detention pond. That is, if I can get to the right drawing, is shown in the northeastern portion of the site, which is an approximate location of where that creek would run through. And so I believe the intent is to backfill that creek and then utilize Tract B for all detention purposes. The city code does require that all stormwater runoff from a development be kept on site and detained and then released at historic levels. And so detention, the development of this should not have any negative stormwater impacts on adjacent properties because the city code requires that it is all detained and then contained and then released at historic rates. So should not have any negative impacts on detention or on drainage in the area. The proposed landscape plan did, and the developer could speak to this a little bit more, but did propose a significant tree buffer along the south and west portions of the property. So with that, I'm happy to answer any additional questions from the Planning Commission.
We'll give the applicant one more chance and then we'll bring it back up here for questions from the commissioners.
as far as his concern on the west line, it is treed pretty well. Obviously, I'm not in the tree taking out business, and I'd rather leave as much as possible. As however much the city's going to allow me to leave, it stays. Now, obviously, we got to clean up the underbrush and whatnot and grade, but we have no intention of stripping the ground.
Are those going to be rentals or are they being
Sir, it's-
owned family?
I'm sorry.
The public comment section has been closed. You had your chance, and we're kind of following a procedure here. So,
So you don't want to hear we have.
well, we already did, but I'll let you one more question. Go ahead, one more.
No, are they going to be rentals or are they
It is
going to be
They're-
rentals? That makes a big difference for how you feel about the project.
All right, any discussion from the commissioners? Mr. Craddock?
Mr. Mellon addressed the question I had about the detention bond.
Okay.
That was what I wanted to ask.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Any other discussion from the commissioners up here? This time I will close the public hearing. And I will ask for a motion on the rezoning portion of this project.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move to approve rezoning RZ 04249135 for Southgate Villas.
And was there any condition on that?
Yes, there were. Apologize. Oh, it should be in my staff report. Sorry. Rezoning application did not have any. The PD concept plan has 3 conditions. So the rezoning did not have any conditions.
All right. And I got a motion. How about a second?
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Tracy, roll call, please.
Works. Commissioner Graham,
Aye.
Commissioner Howell,
Aye.
Commissioner Ingersoll,
Aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry,
Aye.
Commissioner Craddock,
Aye.
Chairperson Henning.
Aye.
All right, all ayes.
This motion carried. I will now ask for a motion for the planned development concept plan for this project. Mr. Chair? Yes.
Move to approve Plan Development Concept Plan PDC 04249136 for Southgate Villas.
I have
With
a
3
motion.
conditions, my apologies.
3 conditions. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I got a second. And roll call, Tracy, please.
Commissioner Ingersoll,
Aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry,
Aye.
Commissioner Craddock,
Aye.
Commissioner Graham,
Aye.
Commissioner Howell,
Aye.
Chairperson Henning.
Aye. That motion carried. And one more final motion on this preliminary plat for this project.
Chair?
Yep.
Move to approve preliminary plat PP 04-24-9137 Southgate Villas with the 6 staff conditions.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. All right, that passes. Thank you very much. We'll move on, and at this time, I will open the public hearing for agenda item number 7, the conditional use permit, CUP 04249126 for Life Unlimited. And I will ask for exhibits from our city attorney, John Malay.
My legs get kind of
That's okay.
lost in there.
Thank you. Anybody that's here that would like to speak on this project, please stand and be sworn in as a group. Anybody else in the audience? All right.
I'll do it.
I do.
All right. At this time, I'll ask for staff's presentation. Mike?
Yep.
Thank you.
Before you this evening is a request for a conditional use permit to operate an adult daycare business, which is classified as daycare commercial under the Unified Development Code. Life Unlimited at the property that sits at kind of the southeast corner of South Outer Road and Woods Chapel Boulevard. The property used to be a UMB bank and has been vacant since February of 2022. The property is zoned general business, and a conditional use permit is required for a daycare use or daycare commercial. which is defined as a business that provides care, protection, and supervision of individuals away from their primary residence in a commercial, service, or institutional setting. So whether it's adults or children, it still falls under that daycare land use. The Kite site is currently developed with a vacant bank building and drive-through canopy. The applicant is not requesting to significantly modify the property or the drive-through canopy. The site has 2 access points. So the property here is highlighted in the black and white dashed line. There's a car dealership immediately to the east, and to the south. To the north is I-70, and to the west is a restaurant and interchange. The surrounding zoning on the property, the property is zoned general business, which is the red color. To the east is regional commercial, and then surrounding it is all more general business. Whoops. Go away. We need to do this. So here's the proposed site plan, which includes the existing bank building and associated parking lots. The existing canopy for the drive-through lane will remain. However, the islands and equipment within those will be removed to provide a canopy for drop-off and pickup of users of the facility. A new decorative fence and enclosure will be placed on the north property or north of the property, provide an outdoor area for the users of the facility. The parking lot will generally remain as it is in terms of striping and location. A new existing trash enclosure will remain. The existing ATM that's on the north portion of the property will be relocated or will actually be removed. There's no need for it. So there are two access properties to the site, both onto Northwest South Outer Road, which are approved or are proposed to remain. There is an existing freestanding pole sign under our code, which is defined as a pole sign, which is to be removed unless a master alternative sign plan is approved that would allow it, but that is a separate application that would come back before the Planning Commission for any kind of pole sign in the I-70 corridor. It is non-conforming today because of setbacks, and it has a message that has been blank for over a year. So the total improvements to the site are not very much at all. New fencing, some minor work to the canopy. Special use standards that the code provides for daycares, commercial daycares, are that they have to be licensed by the state of Missouri and shall meet all city, county, and state health department requirements pertaining to the facility's equipment and other features, and that a vehicle drop-off loading area of 1 car per 10 licensed occupants shall be provided, which this site plan more than accommodates for. Staff reviewed the application against the criteria for a conditional use permit and finds that the proposed land use is a good use of or reuse of a vacant building, provides a necessary service for residents and businesses in Blue Springs, and this is a necessary service in the city, and that the changes to the site plan and use of the property would be compatible with the surrounding land uses. Therefore, staff does recommend approval of that with 3 conditions. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do any commissioners have any questions for staff before we hear from the applicant? All right, let's hear it. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Kathleen Warman with Warman Architects. With me here this evening is Julie Edlin and Mark Bertrand with Life Unlimited. And we very much appreciate all the support that staff has given and guidance. We are certainly in agreement with the recommendation for approval and agree with the conditions. our sign company has reached out to Mr. Mallon to talk about looking at ways to bring the sign into conformance and moving forward with a master sign plan. So I do think we are going to take that step and work with staff to see if we can bring that sign into conformance. It'll be a huge money saver for Life Unlimited to be able to try to reutilize as much of that as possible. But other than that, we're here tonight to answer any questions that you might have. And again, very much appreciate staff support.
Anybody in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this project? Hearing none. Anybody in the audience who would like to speak in opposition to this project? Seeing none, I will close the public comment section of this public hearing. Any further discussion or comments from the staff?
No.
Thank you. Any discussion or comments? Last thing from the applicant. Anything else? And how about the commissioners? Any comments or questions for anybody? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. This time, I would ask for a motion for the conditional use permit.
Chair,
Yes.
I move to approve conditional use permit CUP-04-24-9126 for Life Unlimited Adult Daycare.
I have a
With
motion.
its
Do I have a second?
3 conditions.
3 conditions.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All right. How about a roll call, Ms. Tracy? Thank you.
Commissioner Stokenberry,
Aye.
Commissioner Cradoff,
Aye.
Commissioner Graham,
Aye.
Commissioner Howell,
Aye.
Commissioner Ingersoll,
Aye.
Chairperson Henning.
Aye. That passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on. I will now open the public hearing for agenda item number 8, PUD concept plan. PUDC 04249128 for Brookside Estates and Chapman Farms, with item number 10 being heard concurrently. I will ask for exhibits from our city attorney, John Mullane.
Staff admits exhibits 1 through 8 as shown under item number 8 on the agenda.
Thank you, John. All those that are here to speak in favor of or opposition to or about this project, please stand and be sworn in as a group.
I do.
Thank you. This time I'll ask for staff's presentation. Mike.
Thank you, Chair.
Hello again.
Hello. It's been a while. Mike Mallon, 903 West Main Street on behalf of the city, and I have been sworn multiple times. Before you this evening, our request for a planned unit development concept plan and a preliminary plat for the Brookside at Chapman Farms project, or Brookside Estates at Chapman Farms project. The property is denoted here by the black and white hatched line. 7 Highway is on the east side of the screen here, running north to south. Colburn Road is on the down here, running east to west. Brookside Drive. There's a relatively newly lit traffic signal here at this location. Runs for east to west and bisects the property and provides the primary point of entrance into the estate at Chapman Farms development. The proposed site is both the north side and the south side of Brookside Drive. The zoning of the property is SF7 PUD-RO, which means it's single family planned unit development with a restricted overlay. The PUD and RO were first established at the original Chapman Farms PUD, first approved back in 2004. The property has had a couple of developments proposed over the years, one of which was an apartment project back in 2019, 2020. Following that, a developer proposed the same project that is being brought for you this evening. It's essentially exactly the same project. It's just being updated to today's application because the previous approval from April of 2021 expired. It was a PUD concept plan amendment and a preliminary plat, and both of those projects expire after a certain time frame if there's no further development on it. And so because of those expirations, a new developer is wanting to buy the project and essentially dust those plans off and get it reapproved through the process. And so that is why we are here tonight. The preliminary plat calls for 80 single-family detached house lots and 6 common open space tracts. Access. So on this side, 7 Highway would be over here at the top. North is to the left. Brookside Drive runs up and or east to west, but in this case, up and down. So access to the site is provided through street extensions from Brookside Drive. So the primary point of entrance will be off of Brookside Drive with, it appears Orchard Lane, Southwest Orchard Lane, an access point here, a drainage way that separates the property east and west. And then on the west side of the development is Southwest 9th Court. And there's a secondary point of access up here out to, I believe that is Cowherd? Mason School. Sorry, I got backwards there. So Mason School Road. So all new streets will be local residential streets. However, Collector Street sidewalks improvement will be required along Brookside Drive and Mason School Road. Some of the local streets will include sidewalks on both sides of the street for improved connectivity to the amenities. This is the project oriented with north up. There are 29 lots on the south side of Brookside Drive and the remaining lots on the north side. Again, there is a pretty substantial drainage way that runs through the middle, kind of from the northwest to the southeast of the site. As part of the PD concept plan, minimum lot and development standards are required to be established. Through the PD, the applicant is requesting reduced lot sizes and setbacks from the minimum neighborhood lot standards. These reductions include, jump back up to the staff report here. So the proposed land use is detached housing. And these would be the required setbacks for the detached house neighborhood lot. And then the requirement is on the left and the proposed modification is on the right, and include a reduced minimum lot size, reduction of 600 square feet from 7,200 square feet down to 6,600 square feet, a reduction in the minimum lot width, which required would be 65 feet for standard lots or 50 feet for cul-de-sac lots, and the proposed is 60 feet for all lots. The front setback is not proposed to be changed. The corner side setback is proposed to be reduced from 25 feet to 15 feet for corner lots only. And the side setback is proposed to be reduced from 80 feet or 8 feet down to 5 feet. In addition, the minimum livable floor area classification under the code, the applicant is proposing a minimum livable floor area classification of 1,100 square feet. The requested minimum floor classification is greater than one step classification below the adjacent subdivision. So the estates at Chapman Farms, if it is a minimum of 1,700 square feet, which is a class F, which is for a 3-car garage ranch house. So the applicant is proposing a minimum of 1,100 square feet, which is class I. So that is greater than the one step down allowed typically in the code. So they're requesting that as part of their modifications. These reductions still provide the desired number of lots while accommodating the stream buffer that runs through the site. Landscape buffers are required adjacent to the commercial zoning district. So out. Oh, I gotta go the other way. I gotta get better at this. So out here adjacent to 7 Highway. The proposed site right here is service office, which is a very low intense commercial land use. And then right south of Brookside here is also a commercial land use. And to the south is a commercial land use, but it's a county land use. So any development on that property would still need to be rezoned. The minimum open space requirement for the Chapman Farms PUD is 28%. The proposed development is providing in excess of 36% or 10.79 acres. Amenities in the subdivision include 8-foot trails throughout the subdivision in the stream buffer drainage area that do connect over to the estate's trail network, both on the south side and on the north side over in this location. There's also a trail bridge crossing, which will connect to a playground and play court at the end of this cul-de-sac up here. Conceptual front elevations have been provided of the homes. These are the same. So let me back up. These are the same. This is the same plan. These are the same modifications being requested from this 2024 development application that was approved back in 2021 by the City Council. Nothing has changed. The architecture for the proposed homes likewise has not been changed. I believe these are the exact same home models that were approved previously. They are craftsman, single-story craftsman and bungalow style with significantly high quality design, especially for the front building elevations, attention to the garage doors and front porches. So those are the 6 different models or 8 different models that are conceptually shown for the development at this time. The applicant has provided 10 architectural design standards to ensure that these design elements are carried throughout the subdivision. And these would be included as part of the PUD concept plan approval. And these are the same architectural enhancements that were provided back in 2021 and include requirements that at least 50% of the homes will have front porches. The garage doors will be decorative in nature. Front elevations will have a mixture of types of materials, including lap siding, board and batten siding, shake siding, rock, stone, cement board siding. And it says cement board siding or James Hardy type siding shall be used for the front elevation if stone or rock are not included on the front elevations. When masonry is provided, there will be a 2-foot return on the side walls with the same material. That is not something that is required by our code currently. And so that is an architectural upgrade. Decorative elements such as transom windows and side windows, side lights on the entry doors, decorative accents and exterior design on the front elevations, such as shutters, accent lighting, decorative trim, and other decorative front doors, and then other architectural detailing. So again, these are the same architectural standards that were approved as part of the previous Brookside Estates. Staff believes that while the reduction from the standard neighborhood lot widths and setbacks may impact the aesthetics and urban design feel from the streetscape, that these offsetting architectural enhancements and the enhanced architectural designs of the homes will help offset those. In particular, the amount of front porches on the homes, the decorative elements of the front doors, the use of masonry, the masonry wraps, and the building materials are of high quality and will create a good public realm from the streetscape to help offset those reductions. Final architectural designs and final landscape plans will be reviewed through the PUD final plan process. should this be approved. And that would look at landscaping and all of the tracks, landscaping and the whatever is required on the street trees, final architectural details and final architectural house designs for every house that is going to be built. Trail locations and other amenities would all be defined through that PD final plan document. Staff reviewed the proposed development under the PUD concept plan review criteria in the staff report. Staff believes the request for modifications to the minimum lot size, width, setbacks, and minimum floor area classifications are warranted by the enhanced architectural design standards and to create a different housing product than maybe found in other parts of the city that is higher in quality, that may be a smaller footprint of the house and smaller setbacks and smaller lot sizes, but that the increased architectural quality of the house will be appropriate in this location as a buffer from 7 Highway to the commercial land uses that are immediately adjacent to 7 Highway to this project, which will then buffer it to the larger homes to the west. Staff has noted that the concept plan that is being provided does not entirely match the comprehensive plan, and the S1 area plan is actually much lower in density than the comprehensive land and S1 area plan designation, which has a higher density of for the property, which calls for moderate to high density residential on the subject property. The proposed development has a density of 2.74 dwelling units an acre, which was much lower. Although the plan is at a lower density, the smaller lot single family plan still provides an appropriate transition from the commercially zoned properties along 7 Highway. And additional housing units in this location will help support future commercial development in Chapman Farms area, including the commercial development adjacent and across the street where there is a substantially larger commercial area and anticipated commercial development. Staff finds that the proposed concept plan meets all of the criteria under the Unified Development Code and recommends approval of the PUD concept plan and the preliminary plat. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for staff before we hear from the applicant?
I have one question, Chair. Yes, Mr. Mallon, in terms of architectural design, did I see some of the models have solar panels on the roofs?
I did not see any of that, but I think that is a question that you could ask the developer.
Okay, thank you.
There would be nothing in our code that would preclude them from having them, but that is up to the developer and or the eventual homeowner.
All right. This time we'll hear from the applicant.
Good evening. My name is Sally Moore. My address is 14303 Whippoorwill Lane, and that's in Greenwood, Missouri. I am not the official applicant. I am speaking here tonight on his behalf, as he is at his significant other's bedside as they are trying to deliver their second child. Otherwise, he would be here. So I feel like Mr. Mallon did a really good job of just kind of going over again, getting you guys up to speed. This is the exact same proposal that was passed a couple years ago. And the only reason we are standing here tonight, we were in the midst of the transaction, is that those it basically expired. So we are here tonight. I did prepare a PowerPoint presentation that we did put on for a small group who attended our public meeting we had at a public library last Monday night to kind of go over some things. And I know it's been a long evening, so I won't bore you with every page of this, the details, but I did think what might be helpful is to show you all some examples of the styles inside the properties. You've seen some architectural renderings, but I wanted to just kind of clip through this and hit a couple of highlights, just showing you some examples of what would be intended to be constructed, and also give you an idea of ballpark on property value. This is, of course, Brookside at Chapman Farms. About the community, Mr. Mellon, we can probably skip through that first page. You went over all of this, the 37% of total area committed to open and civic space, which I think is a really neat variable here. At the very bottom line, it says sales price estimated to start at $450,000. That number is based on today's building cost numbers and the estimated development costs that would be incurred to make these lots available to the home builders. And the home builders that we have been in discussion with, obviously we can't do any kind of lot reservation or a commitment until this closing is done, but they are all custom home builders. This is not a cookie cutter project. This is not slab on grade, mass produced homes. If we could go to our next slide, please. Thank you, sir. This is the project objective, is to create custom home options, promote custom home builders, and protect the property values for everyone involved. Like I said, this is not going to be a mass-produced community by any stretch of the imagination. Proposed floor plans, we talked about the ranch plans. There is also the possibility to do a 2-story or 1.5-story, but I would say the market will tell us that most people would prefer a ranch or reverse property. Next slide is going over a lot of the details that Mr. Mallon went through already. Focus being on, just the architectural features of the homes from the exterior. I know it was a concern first time around not to have all of these houses look like primarily garage doors and no house. So that was part of that design concept in the beginning that, of course, would be honored moving forward. If we could click ahead to our next slide. This is just a collection, if you will, snapshots of builders that we represent that have expressed interest in moving forward in the community and examples of homes that they have built. And I would say 90% of these are actually from Blue Springs, elsewhere in Blue Springs. So you can see some of the architectural details and design elements that would be included. These are not cookie cutter homes, lots of custom trim work, also box beams on ceilings, high-end finishes on the interior, freestanding tubs when allowed, and so on. We can go forward. These are some just kitchen and bath designs. You can see what I like about this too, and in my experience is each builder kind of does something a little bit different. And I always believe that real estate is matchmaking. It's not sales. So we find the right home for the right person. This particular builder took his cabinets all the way to the ceiling because we all know open concept places we lose out a little bit on where we can put cabinets. So that was one design feature. Tile showers, as you can see. Looking through, these are just some more examples of kitchen and bathrooms. You can see these builders, nice collection here. I'll do something just a little bit different, but keeping up with the style that today's rather discerning home buyer has. Moving forward, you can see some more examples. I do not want to bore you with the details, but you're getting the picture. Moving forward, I think we also have some examples of like family room designs on the next couple of slides that we can show. Everything from linear fireplaces with floor to ceiling tile to the more traditional stone fireplaces, box beams in our ceilings. And go on and shoot some more little pictures. There you go. You're getting the picture, I think. One of our builders, one of his kind of trademarks is doing a lot of stone trim on the interior of the property. And a lot of buyers are really gravitating towards that. And others are doing things like, the shiplap on fireplaces and shiplap on accent walls. You're good. Another custom wall in a bedroom. Again, the accent wall by another builder. And just some more examples of the product. So project timeline, if everything goes as we are hoping it will. We did have our informational meeting last Monday. Tonight's planning commission hearing and then city council. Close of purchase right now is set for June 20th, if all goes well. And then summer of 2024, trying to get the ball rolling. Everybody that was brought on initially with the project and everyone that has been contacted since have all updated their bids and whatnot. So as soon as it is feasible to get started, the developer intends to do so. We have another project in North Blue Springs, and this will really seamlessly allow these other builders a place to go from there, which is super important to keeping their momentum going. This is just kind of a little bit about us. I don't want to bore you with this, but we do have a very long history of new home sales experience. I have marketed 15 new home communities myself and my team. Proof of performance for that. There are 2 of our developments that we've done that have consistently been the highest sales for Eastern Jackson County. Our agent ranking, we're in the top 1%. Years experience, I'm showing my age. My team has more than 100 years of experience at this point. We're getting a little gray and long in the tooth. Multiple designations, and we do work for Keller Williams, which is number 1 in agent count. And here's our contact information for myself, my colleague over there, Bill Reifeis, who would be point man number 2 on the project. And that's it for our little song and dance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this project? Seeing none, anybody in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to this project? Come on up. Have you been sworn in?
Yes, sir, I have.
State your name and address, please.
My name is John Easley. I live at 9304 Southwest Orchid Court, Blue Springs, Missouri, 64064.
Thank you.
Proudly stand before you as the president of the Homeowners Association of the Estates of Chapman Farms. And initially, when I came up here, came up to this meeting this evening, I was somewhat impressed with the presentation. There were some questions I had, and as I went through this meeting, more things came to mind. So I will start with what I've originally written down and go from there. But first, let me start by saying it is very proud to stand up here and represent my homeowners. And I find it a privilege to stand before you all. It starts with the trails. I find it whimsical and funny that the developer can connect into our trails for free. I don't know how that works. I know they bought this plan from Doug Kinney. Doug Kinney at the time was the president of our HOA, but I become the president of our HOA in January of 23. And I don't know that there has been any discussion with me that I recall in which another builder is going to connect into our trails. It's very difficult for me to go to my residents who we, in the last 30 days, have just spent $30,000 of our money to redo our trails and have them resealed to say that there is a developer that's going to build just to the east of us and connect into our trails for free. So I don't know how that works. I consider myself an educated man. I've been a police officer for almost 30 years, and I don't know how someone connects into private property for free. So that was my first issue. The second one I look at is when they develop, they have Orchard Lane that connects into Moorhead School Road. Moorhead School Road then becomes, or Orchard Lane then becomes basically a bypass on 7 Highway. In the morning and evening, if you don't live in that area, 7 and Colburn can be a nightmare with the stoplights. So people that live in the neighborhood to the north can use Orchard Lane and go through and then cut across Conch, which is in Chapman Farms, and get a bypass, 2 stoplights on 7 Highway to get out on Colburn Road. Our neighborhood is not designed to handle that kind of traffic, but that is effectively what we built as a byway from 7 Highway through our neighborhood. Something to consider. The other thing is this is called the Brookside Estates at Chapman Farms, but they want to reduce the lot size. And I found it whimsical that as I was sitting here, I noticed that the presentation for the duplexes earlier, the lot sizes they had were 9,300 square feet. They wanted 2 exceptions to go down to 8,000 square feet. The lot sizes they've proposed are 6,600. They want to go from 7,200 to 6,600 square feet. A duplex they're asking for 2,700 more square feet than they want for a single family home. And then I come into tonight and I learned that the square footage on these houses is 1,100 square feet. And then they Jedi mind tricked us with a bunch of photos of couches and stairwells and all kinds of lovely decorations. Well, let's get down to brass tacks, ladies and gentlemen. The city staff lets you know that they're going to put front porches on some of those houses. Are you telling me that a front porch and a swing or a couch is what's going to save the home values of the Brookside, the estates at Chapman Farms? The homeowners I represent, we are not rich people. We are not. But the people that I represent this is their 3rd or 4th home. I represent retirees. I represent union workers, teachers, policemen, firemen. These are people that have worked tirelessly to get to their homes, and you're going to tell me that they're going to sell 1,100 square foot homes for what they say, minimum 450,000 square feet. The city staff will let you know that a front porch, and they'll tell you that their couches inside their house are what's going to make our value. But start with nothing else then. They're going to connect their trails into ours for free. Until they correct that one simple thing, this cannot go forward. Private property rights mean something. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak in opposition to the project? Have you been sworn in?
Yes.
State your name and address, please.
Hi, my name's Eric Rhodes. I live at 26003 Southwest Mason School Road. I'm here not necessarily because I'm opposed, but I wanted to make a comment about the development in my particular home. I own the original 100-year Chapman family farms for the last 20 months. Since I've moved in, I've put $320,000 addition onto this home for my disabled wife. I've made this a permanent home I want to live in for the foreseeable future. I don't necessarily oppose this project. The homes look great. While it may be sad to see Greenland go, I understand that growth is necessary and will bring positive things to our community. A little backstory. A lot survey adjustment was conducted on my lot November 8th of 2010 by the Chapman family, a process in which the city, to the best of my knowledge, signed off on at the time. The adjustment moved the property line underneath the barn that exists primarily on my property. My concern rests with lot 56 of the development, part of the old barn, which is about 80 years old and marginally sits over the lot line. I encourage the city to ask the developer to adjust the lot line 56 prior to final platting, helping to protect the barn, future owners of my land, future owners of lot 56, so they are not burdened with the complications of a lot line under the structure. Developer and I have had a brief discussion. I remain hopeful that the developer and I can come to an agreement on this issue to benefit all parties. Additionally, I encourage the city to be careful in the future when allowing lot line survey adjustments to include structures that cross the line. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak in opposition to this project? Hearing none, I will close the public comment section of this public hearing and see if staff has any follow-up, and then we'll bring it up here.
The only follow-up that I would have is that the trail connections were originally shown back in the 2021 plan. Staff does work with developers to try to have trail connections connect to as part of our comprehensive plan and our unified development code and goals and policies of the city is to provide a connected transportation network for pedestrians. And so the connections to the existing trails at the estates at Chapman Farms would provide a nice loop benefit trail through the stream buffer area that would benefit both neighborhoods. And we typically do not like to see dead-end trails that stop at the boundary of a subdivision. We like to see those connect so that all of the residents within a specific neighborhood or two neighborhoods can enjoy that trail function. And so that's the reason why staff pushes for those trail connections to create a connected pedestrian trail network. And then, people, a trail and sidewalk network out to commercial areas and, to provide an amenity for all subdivisions. So that's the background as to why staff did that. And in terms of cut through traffic, I don't know if Public Works would have any more to say about that or not. I believe that was a concern that was brought up during the last, not the last public hearing on this back in 2021, but it was a significant concern that was brought up during the multifamily development that was proposed when it was 200 apartment units. But that I don't remember that being as big of a concern, but I don't know if Public Works did an examination of that or has any more information. Jim?
No, we have nothing else to add.
Thank you, Mike. Any further comments or discussion from the applicant?
I would just like to state that I know that 1,100 square foot requirement or proposal was made by the previous developer. That is not the intent for anyone. It would be really hard to sell an 1,100 square foot property. So the builders that we've spoken to, the plans that are on your list, I don't even recall seeing one as low as 1,100. There may be, but that would be awfully tough. So when I come up with a $450,000 build cost, that is based on plans at a square footage requirement or a square footage beginner. And it was always 1,100, was it not, Mike?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
the original
okay.
the original approval back in 2021 was 1,100 at that time.
Yeah. And the couches don't convey with the property. Those are staging items. So that's it. Oh, lot sizes. Oh, yeah. The duplexes, that's obviously 2 living units compared to a single family structure. To the gentleman's point earlier about why are those lots larger than these. And then the developer did have a discussion with the other folks that showed up for our meeting last week about trying to preserve as many trees as he could as well for those folks living on Mason School Road. So that is on his radar. And he did have a nice discussion with that gentleman about the barn and trying to work to rectify that problem.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to bring it up here for the commissioners. I've got a few comments and questions, but I'll start with my peers. Anything from this side?
Chair, to the relationship to what the gentleman from the HOA asked about the question about the private property rights, are we, sometimes when you deal with HOAs, we get into legality issues. Are we entering some kind of process where that could happen, or has that been covered? I'm sure you guys have already probably discussed that issue, but could that possibly arise somewhere down the line?
I'm not sure. I would have to go back and look at the plat for the estates of Chapman Farms to see if there's any kind of pedestrian access easement, which we would normally put on a plat when we put a trail over that. So that easement may already be in place. If it's not, then it would be up to the developer to work with that HOA to install those trail connections.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Credo? No. Anything from this side down here?
I would like to see the traffic survey on that, with how they're talking about cutting through the neighborhood. Because even in the last 3 years, that area, that traffic has tripled just in the last 3 years. And I do agree that is a major concern.
Thank you. I have some of my own concerns. I'm very pro-development and been in real estate myself. It seems like there's a lot of changes and reductions to lot size, lot width, setback, and side setback. And that concerns me. It concerns me that I'm not sure about the structure of how it all played out, of it originally being 1,100 square feet minimum, and now it's 1,100 square feet minimum. And I understand wholeheartedly the next subdivision's concern with the estates, because even if you can't build a $450,000 house with 1,100 square feet, what scares most people is the fact that that is the bare minimum. And that is the rule that must be followed. So I think that is a real substantial concern of mine, that is a technicality, but yet it's more than a technicality in some people's eyes. And then, Mike, a follow-up question that I have is, you mentioned the classification of the estates of being a class 1, or perhaps Brookside is a class 1 versus what is the other one? And are we allowing the modification of the rules by skipping down a class? Would you go through that again with me real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is a requested reduction or allowance to step down more than one classification. So per the minimal livable floor area, subdivisions are classified in a manner that minimize difference to dwelling. The applicant is proposing a minimum livable floor area classification of 1,100 square feet, which is a class I. Classes of adjacent subdivisions are class F, which is the lowest that is allowed at the estates of Chapman Farms, which is 1,700 square feet, which is class F. So they are skipping or asking to have a minimum livable floor area that is not G or H, but is I.
And typically, does staff recommend one classification difference, or?
The code requires that there is no more than one.
No more than one. Okay.
In certain instances, staff has supported a reduction.
Sure.
If it is a different housing style, a different housing product that really isn't meant to be a comparable to that house. And in this case, it was proposed to be smaller lots, higher design, more of a villa style project than a standard larger lot, estate lot, which I believe most of the lot sizes in the estates are over 12,000 square feet. So it's proposed to be a different housing product on the property.
Okay. That's all I had. Anything else from up here? At this time, I will close the public hearing. Hearing all of that, I would ask to see if there would be motion for the amended PUD concept plan.
Chair,
Sure.
I move to approve PUDC 04249128 for Brookside Estate at Chapman Farms.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
And this will be a roll call. Tracy?
Commissioner Cradoff,
Aye.
Commissioner Graham,
Aye.
Commissioner Howell,
Aye.
Commissioner Ingersoll,
Nay.
Commissioner Stokenberry,
Nay.
Chairperson Henning.
Nay.
All right, we have a 3-3 tie.
3-3 tie. And at this time, I would ask a motion on the preliminary plat for the project.
Chair,
Sir.
move to approve preliminary plat PP 04249129 Brookside Estates at Chapman Farm.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Is that the same vote?
The same vote? Does a tie pass or no?
No, a tie is deemed to not pass.
Okay. That motion failed. All right.
So the PD concept plan will be recommended for,
That'll be heard by the city council?
be recommended for denial by the city council. Preliminary plat has been denied. Should the planning commission approve the preliminary or the PUD concept plan, the applicant will be required to come back, or staff will bring forward back the preliminary plat to the planning commission at the next meeting to reconsider the preliminary plat should the city council approve the concept plan amendment.
Thank you. At this time, does staff have any other business?
We do not.
Okay. Commissioners, any other business to be said? Having heard that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There better not be any. Thank you all very much for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.